Yesterday's conspiracy theories, tomorrow's headlines. Most are still asleep and I ain't talking about no bedtime. The truth is not a Google search, you need to get your head right. The Greek goddess of illusion was called Media I'm not a coincidence theorist, I look for thread lines. Smashing every deadline, no longer smashing red wine. Though I can hear the bells chime, it feels like the end times. That probably should have been smashed on red wine, but the carnal mind is foolish. Obey and end up ghoulish. Don't get used by instinct, take control and learn to use it. Make a load of earnest music, earn a few quid, learn a few tricks. Sure, the truth is persecuted, this whole world is pure abusive. Know a bit about everything and everything about nothing. Figured out my noggin while you picture out shopping. You sit about watching while I dish it out. Stop it, I don't mean to sound cocky, I'm not even proud of it. It's a second dish to me, just to me it's out honest. I don't even need to sound honest, never been about profit. Everything but out on it, you can bet your house on it. Doubt I'll be out for the count when the sounds, and I'm down for the beat, no beat down. I mean, how long's it been? Help me out. I've been the only one who's held me down. All in the mind, hell freeze now. Still sick with it, healthy how? Few bars down and the well freaked out. I don't reach out, I seek out to speak out. I'ma recount the reasons they beat out. I'm not the way, no way. I have seen the way. Seek, speak, repeat. There's no way.
Shrouded in secrecy and heavily guarded, it is rumored to be home to unspeakable horrors. Officially, its name is Chateau Marroni, aka the Mothers of Darkness Castle. It has been accused of being the epicenter of the Illuminati underworld, hosting some of the elite's darkest rituals and high-level monarch programming. Join me as we unlock the secrets of Mothers of Darkness Castle and discover why it has earned the nickname the most evil place on Earth.
One investigator said it was like going back to the Middle Ages.
One of the Illuminati's top ritual castles.
And 1,000 points of light.
The elite love their secluded castles and stately homes, far from the prying eyes of the public, where they can engage in perverse and strange practices for the worship of their ancient gods. In Belgium lies just such a castle, the menacing Chateau Marroni. It has been named by researchers as one of the main ritual centers of the Illuminati, but researching it proves difficult. Little information about this castle is available, and the owners appear to be doing everything they can to keep it that way. Almost no pictures of the interior exist online. Even the BBC and National Geographic have allegedly been denied access. The castle's wooded perimeter is heavily guarded, with cameras, electric fences, tripwires, and more. The castle was originally built for Prince Philip of the notorious Saxe-Coburg-Gotha royal bloodline, the same family as the British royals, who are descended from Vlad the Impaler, the original Dracula. Today, it is owned by an elite family of Belgian industrialists called the Solvays. The Solvays are one of the wealthiest families in Belgium. They own large pharmaceutical and chemical companies responsible for the notorious drug Prozac and the industrial-scale production of fluoride and fluoride products that get added to the water we drink. Although officially named Chateau Marroni, the castle is better known as the Mothers of Darkness Castle, due to it being the alleged meeting place of a special rank of Illuminati witches known as Mothers of Darkness. Mothers of Darkness are high-adept witches who come from old satanic families. The macabre rituals they perform would make your blood run cold. The candidates for the Mothers of Darkness are subjected to ritual abuse from childhood, resulting in a dissociative mind that is easy to program. Most high-level Illuminati witches have some dissociated identities known as multiple personalities. Mothers of Darkness are programmed and initiated within the mysterious Chateau Marroni.
Mothers of Darkness seem to be like deep satanic priestesses that have also then raised daughters and or granddaughters and have been over many of the women involved. So they are deeply well known in the underground of satanic ritual abuse and multiple personality disorder.
But these elite witches aren't the only reason the castle maintains such strict privacy. The site is also said to be home to the Belgian elite's satanic Eyes Wide Shut parties, which involve children and are usually filmed for blackmail. This was all revealed during the infamous Dutroux scandal that nearly caused a revolution in Belgium and saw the resignation of top officials. It all began in the early 90s when children started going missing in alarming numbers. It took Belgian authorities 4 years to arrest a man named Marc Dutroux, despite numerous credible tip-offs that he was kidnapping and holding girls prisoner, including one from his own mother. Dutroux was procuring these children for the Belgian political elite and aristocracy to use as party favors for their blackmail operations. After the scandal broke, one Belgian senator noted that such parties were part of a system which operates to this day and is used to blackmail highly placed people. The same system of blackmail operates all over the Western world and is one of the Illuminati's primary means of control. The Dutroux witness files are replete with stories of such parties taking place in castles, and one specifically named the Chateau Marroni.
And so I exposed this ritual castle in southern Belgium. And at first, this was in 1991, and a number of years transpired, and it was like I was a voice in the wilderness and nobody had heard. But eventually it did get heard. And what happened is in Belgium, the Belgian government was toppled. They had big protests in Brussels a couple times where there were over 500,000 Belgians protesting their government. And the reason why is because there was a big scandal that broke loose where people had discovered that there were satanic covens in their government, the government of Belgium. And this got connected in, and people then were able to connect what was going on and some of the people back to this castle that I had exposed.
Because Belgium is the global center of the European Union and NATO, many of the so-called elite from around the world attend these parties. A Belgian newspaper reported that a former commissioner of the European Union was among a group of judges, lawyers, and policemen who attended orgies organized by one of Dutroux's assistants.
Sorry, this comes from the Sunday Times back in 1996, but here goes. Quote, Brussels satanic sects involved in bizarre rites, including human sacrifice, are being linked by Belgian police with this summer's string of grisly pedophile murders in which at least 4 children died. 5 witnesses came forward last week and described how black masses were held and which children were killed in front of audiences were said to have included prominent members of Belgian society.
Many of these witnesses describe hunting parties where children were allowed to run in the forest and then hunted down like animals. These adrenaline-pumping events are said to be a favorite of the psychopathic elite. Abuse survivors Kathy O'Brien, Fiona Barnett, and Paul Benassi all have described similar hunting parties, known to the elite as the most dangerous game.
It was early evening when they played Most Dangerous Game. I was stripped of my clothing. I was allowed to wear tennis shoes and told that I could have a head start and begin running before I would be hunted down. My exposure to it resulted in my believing I had no place to run and no place to hide. It seemed there were no limits to what could happen in my existence at that time. was the most extreme, one of the most extreme situations I think I ever survived.
One investigator remarked that it was like something out of the Middle Ages. Dutroux was heavily connected to the satanic underworld. One cult we know he provided children for is called Abrasax. Abrasax is an openly satanic group which names itself after a pot-bellied demon called Abraxas. In 1996, police discovered a note to Dutroux from a mysterious person calling themselves Anubis. The note informed Dutroux that a special ceremony was coming up and instructed him to provide quote-unquote presents for the high priestess of the Abrasax order, and even gave specific details as to the age and sex the presents should be. No doubt some of these children Dutroux kidnapped were delivered to the Mothers of Darkness Castle, where researchers have reported that child sacrifices take place nearly every day.
And I gave the location. Eyewitnesses who had been in rituals in the castle where children were sacrificed, and the blood of these children is drained, and quill pens are filled up, and the blood is used to write an account of what the Illuminati have done that day and bring about the plan.
Ultimately, Dutroux was jailed, but his high-profile clients got off scot-free. A curtain of secrecy descended over the entire case, and the investigation was stopped from going any further before the rest of the ring could be exposed.
Dutroux, qui était le prédateur isolé, entre guillemets, d'accord, qui faisait bouc émissaire pour protéger tout l'immense réseau belge qui implique en premier lieu les deux rois belges qui se sont succédés.
It is no accident that this den of Satanism is located in Belgium. The small, picturesque nation on the border of France has been named by alternative researchers as an Illuminati capital and headquarters of the New World Order. It is home to the European Union and NATO, making it a central hub for high-level Luciferian rituals. International financiers, politicians, and businessmen come to Belgium for business and make a stopover at the Chateau Marroni, or one of the region's many other satanic estates, to participate in the sacrifices and blood rituals required of an Illuminatus. Remember the Dutch banker Ronald Bernard, who claimed the top world leaders and financiers are forced to take part in satanic activities, and he himself was asked to attend a child sacrifice.
It was the good life. But then at some point, I was invited, which is why I'm telling you all this, to participate in sacrifices abroad. That was the breaking point. Children.
You were asked to do that?
Yes. And I couldn't do that. The purpose of the whole thing, eventually, in that world, is that they have everybody in their pocket. You need to be susceptible to blackmail. And blackmailing me proved to be very hard if I look back on it.
According to researcher David Icke's book, The Biggest Secret, Belgium, or Balgium, was actually established to be a headquarters for the satanic elite. And it is for this reason that the Saxe-Coburg-Gotha, aka the Windsor bloodline, was imposed to rule over it. Belgium is still ruled by a royal family, who are very much above the law. The aristocracy is deeply involved in satanic secret societies. At the '88 Republican National Convention, GOP loyalists cheered as George H.W. Bush took the stage to accept the party's presidential nomination. It was the first time America would hear a strange, mystical phrase that would become synonymous with President Bush: 1,000 points of light.
I've spoken of 1,000 points of light.
Dream and and 1,000 points of light.
Despite no one knowing what it meant, he went on to say it again at his inaugural address. Once again, few in the audience, except for members of the Illuminati, knew the significance of that bizarre phrase, or the location to which it secretly referred. Inside Mothers of Darkness Castle is a special room used as the place of ceremony for the highest orders of the satanic hierarchy. Inside the ornate room are balconies and a magnificent dome containing 1,000 lights. This is what Bush was alluding to by 1,000 points of light.
But nobody bothered to question that. And he said that at least 4 to 6 times. I talked to a lady just recently in Baltimore. She came up right after the meeting in Baltimore, and she came up and she said, everything that you said tonight, I can verify. She said, because I was George Bush's campaign manager. And she proved it. She pulled out the campaign manager badge that she had when she was campaign manager, when he was going into for presidential election. And she said, I was there the night that he made that address. And she says, now I understand what that meant. Because she said, I looked at George and I said, after he stepped off the platform, I said, George, I want to be, I don't know about that New World Order thing. She said, but I want to be a part of that 1,000 points of light. And she said, he grabbed her by the shoulder, looked her sternly in the face and said, I have no control over that.
It is also very telling that President Trump drew special attention to this old phrase at a rally held in Montana in 2018, reminding the audience of the bizarre nature and inexplicable meaning of the term.
All the rhetoric you see here, the 1,000 points of light. What the hell was that, by the way? 1,000 points of light. I never quite got that one. I'm trying to say, what the hell is that? Has anyone ever figured that one out?
YouTube has videos of people attempting to go near the Mothers of Darkness Castle and discovering elaborate security measures around the perimeter. One man who found the gate open claims his girlfriend went to knock on the door and was never heard from again. He went to the authorities, but the local police said the people at the Chateau Marroni claimed they never saw his girlfriend and threatened him with trespassing charges. There are even rumors that the castle has tunnels beneath it that are connected to other locations. From Vlad the Impaler to Elizabeth Bathory, who bathed in the blood of her young servant girls, history provides numerous accounts of psychopathic elites whose victims are lured to dark castles, never to be seen again. Today, children continue to go missing, and a girl's body was found on the estate of Queen Elizabeth II. Maybe those tales hold more truth than we dare to admit.
All right, guys. That documentary you can find on Rumble. So these human hunting parties, these estates, these covens, they're real. And Epstein was kind of like the tip of the iceberg, right? In a sense, to exposing this type of stuff to the world and these type of groups. Let me go ahead and fix my camera. Oh, there we go. Please like, subscribe, and share. Tell everybody around that this is going down, man. Every day, I get better. I get sharper, get wiser, get stronger. I hope you guys do too. And every day, I'm getting better at this fucking podcasting thing. So forgive me for the first 5 years of this, first 4 years. It's been a huge, huge learning curve in which I've also had to handle my own life. So, you know, not just a sellout and like, you know, handing this over to someone else and selling out. And, you know, it's all self-made, man, all by me. We're going to get into this next clip. So, human safaris in Sarajevo. Milan investigates 1990s trip where tourists allegedly paid to kill civilians. A writer has alleged that an Italian gun-loving extremist traveled to Bosnia to spend their weekends as snipers. The Milan Attorney General's office has opened an investigation into a chilling case that recalls the infamous sniper alley of Sarajevo, the city besieged from 1992 to 1996 by Serbian Bosnian militias during the Bosnian War. From the surrounding hills, they shot at passerbys who had no choice but to cross that street and expose themselves to being killed. It is estimated that more than 11,000 civilians were murdered this way. But the investigation revealed by Italian media concerns an alleged crime of intentional homicide aggravated by cruelty and vile motives. Its central thesis is that some Italians paid to go to Sarajevo for the weekend and shoot at people as if it were a hunting trip. Ordinary citizens with ties to far-right circles and passionate about weapons allegedly hired this service as a kind of human safari in the besieged city. According to the complaint, they flew from Trieste to Belgrade on the Serbian airline Aviogenics, which at that time operated from the Italian airport. To be weekend snipers, they reportedly paid the equivalent of £80,000 and £100,000, which is around $90,000 to $110,000. According to the first hypothesis of the investigation, shooting at children costs more. Information has come to light mentions as a Milanese businessman who owns a private cosmetic surgery clinic, as well as citizens from Turin and Trieste. The complaint, documented in 17 pages, was filed by writer and journalist Ezio Gavazzeni, supported by the respected former magistrate Giuru Salvini and Benjamina Kerek, mayor of Sarajevo from 2021 to 2024, who has been collecting information about something that has been rumored for years and that came to light in 2023 in Sarajevo Safari, a documentary about Slovenian filmmaker Miran Zupanik. The film gathered testimonies and offered clues about the possibility that wealthy foreigners paid to travel to the Bosnian city to personally shoot at human beings. The Bosnian Attorney General's office shelved an investigation because of the difficulty probing such a case in a country still deeply divided and scarred by war. Gavazzeni told La Repubblica on Tuesday, as for Serbian justice, he claims that for the country's courts, the matter is an urban legend. That is why he has tried to open the case in Italy. We're talking about wealthy people with reputations, businessmen, who during the siege of Sarajevo paid to kill unarmed civilians. They left Trieste for a manhunt and then returned to their respectable daily lives. Prosecutor Alessandro Gobis has a list of several people who can provide testimony and will be called to testify. According to the writer, these bloodthirsty war tourists could number around 100. I hope they can locate at least one or two, maybe 10. Among the witnesses, Gaveni states, is a Bosnian intelligence agent with the initials ES who was aware of the events and claims that Italian intelligence, which had personnel in Sarajevo, received information about them in 1993 and that classified files on the matter may exist. He told me that Bosnian intelligence warned of the presence of at least 5 Italians in the hills around Sarajevo, accompanied there to shoot at civilians. He also cites, and a Slovenian intelligence official, some victims and a wounded firefighter who, during the trial of a Serbian leader, Slobodan Milosevic, in The Hague, spoke of the tourist shooters with distinctive and clothing and weapons that stood out among the Serbian soldiers. The Bosnian consul in Milan, Dag Dumuric, has guaranteed the full cooperation of this country's government. We are eager to uncover the truth about such a cruel matter and settle accounts with the past. I am aware of the information that I will contribute to the investigation. In the past, there were well-known and highly controversial images of Russian writer Edward Limonov in the hills of Sarajevo alongside Serb-Bosnian leader Radovan Karadzic. In them, they showed how the snipers shot at people, and he himself took up a machine gun and fired a few shots. Oh, man, this is insane. A Bosnian soldier carrying a child, followed by a woman also holding a child, run across the street to avoid sniper fire. And so they were treating it like a game. Are these people smiling in the background? They're like, well, this is like some apocalypto shit. What the fuck, guys? I thought we as humanity were like cool, but I guess we're still playing apocalypto 30 years ago. Let's see. It was let's just say 95. Yeah, that's quite a bit. 30 years ago. That's pretty insane. Rest in peace to the 11,000 civilians that were killed this way. Jesus Christ. Sometimes I don't know what type of devil goes into humanity where they're able to like genocide and absolutely torture and kill hundreds, if not thousands of people. Or even one. What the fuck? The fuck is wrong with these people? God damn, makes my head hurt thinking about murderers. But hey, want to see more about murders? Oh, Israeli geoengineering startup releases detailed blueprint for annual release of 10 million tons of engineered silica particles into the stratosphere. In a development that is drawing sharp scrutiny from scientists and government experts, Stardust Solutions, a U.S. incorporated Israel-based startup founded studying in 2023, has published a comprehensive feasibility outlining the full industrial chemical process for manufacturing and deploying massive quantities of custom engineered silica aerosols aimed at reflecting sunlight to cool the planet. The study, released May 14, 2026, lays out a clear pathway to climate scale production, scaling up to 10 million metric tons per year of submicronic engineered amorphous silica particles for stratospheric aerosol injection. That volume would be sufficient, the company states, to achieve roughly a 1% reduction in incoming solar flux. Bro, hey man, we're gonna do all this stuff and there's only gonna be a 1% blockage. What? Why? Why would we do this? We need to put more thought into. Well, this ain't even us. This is Israel. So yeah, that's them. But this is this is how they think. The document reads less like a speculative research and more like an operational engineering manual. It details reactor designs, supply chain integration with existing chlor-alkali infrastructure, hazardous chemical handling, including tetraethyl orthosilicate, silicon tetrachloride, chlorine gas, ammonia, ethanol, and hydrophobic surface treatments like trimethylmoxysilicane, particle sizing in the 250 to 500 nanometer range, and cost targets of approximately $5 to $5.70 per kilogram at full scale. Rollout timelines are ambitious, roughly 5 years to reach 2,500,000 tons annually, 7 years to hit 1 million tons, and eventual expansion to the full 10 million ton target. The particles are deliberately engineered for prolonged stratospheric residence on the order of a year through precise morphology, narrow size distribution, and hydrophobic coatings to maximize sunlight scattering while minimizing fallout. Stardust emphasizes that decisions on actual deployment rest with governments and international community. Yet the publication of such granular manufacturing flow sheets, aircraft considerations, monitoring systems, and infrastructure requirements mark significant steps towards normalizing this technology as a practical industrial endeavor. This comes amid growing calls for restraint. More than 590 climate scientists and scholars have endorsed an international non-use agreement on solar engineering, citing profound risks around governance, termination shock, regional climate disruptions, and ethical implications on large-scale atmospheric intervention. Particularly concerning to critics is the study's heavy emphasis on technical feasibility, scaling logistics, and deployment engineering, with comparatively limited detailed discussion of the long-term human inhalation toxicology, chronic ecosystem exposure, and multi-generational environmental impacts from persistent nanoparticles that would ultimately deposit around the planet. Whether viewed as necessary emergency tools or an alarming privatization of planetary systems, the release of this chemical and operation playbook shifts the conversation. What was once largely theoretical modeling is now presented with concrete supply chains, curves, and production timelines. The transparency invites scrutiny as much as it signals ambition. It raises urgent questions about consent, oversight, and the wisdom of treating the shared global atmosphere as an adjustable industrial process. So, yeah, we cannot let a government take control of the skies or try to block out the sun or try to alter our atmosphere just because they want to. Actually, just don't do it at all. How about that? We should just, yeah, I think we should understand by now how beautiful Earth is and just really appreciate that we don't have to chemicalize it to make it look beautiful. You know what I mean? We don't need all them extra chemicals and junk and oils and bad stuff. We got nature, we got beauty, we got life. Did you catch the new Ingersoll Lockwood link pertinent to the Massey, Kentucky election? So here's this 10-minute video. This is conspiracy.
The toughest area of Iran where we'd be sitting there. So these planes came in, those pilots came in so fast and so quick. So many. Steve Witkoff's over here is doing fantastic. And Jared Kushner. But the people that are here, the job they did is amazing. And I think I'm going to introduce the head of the CIA, and he is a man who is central casting. If we cast a movie, he's going to play the head of the CIA. John Ratcliffe, he did a phenomenal job that night. It's something that I don't know if you want to talk about it. If you want, you can. I'm not sure you're supposed to. I'm not going to talk about it, but the CIA was very responsible for finding this little speck. It's like they used an expression on one of the shows. The general was talking about, it's like finding a needle in a haystack, finding this pilot. And the CIA was unbelievable. And you may, if you can, you'll talk, it might be classified, in which case I'd have to put him in jail if he talks about it. And I don't want to put him in jail. He doesn't.
Administrator Isaacman, just get a quick comm check, make sure you guys are still on the line and we didn't have a handover.
I am. Yes, I am. And integrity, and back over to you, Mr. President.
Yeah, I think we might have gotten cut off. It is a long distance. It's a long ways. The reception's been great. There's a little bit of about a 9-second delay, but
make sure you guys are still on the line and we didn't have a handover.
I am. Yes, I am.
About a 9-second delay, but
handover.
I am. About a 9-second delay, but
handover.
I am. No, I just had a statement for, I don't know what you heard, but I was just saying they're very proud of your brilliant person from Canada on the ship. And Wayne Gretzky is a great friend of mine, and he's very proud of him. And the Prime Minister I spoke to, they're very, very honored that you have a courageous person from Canada. You have a lot of courageous people from Canada. So it was very nice. I'm not sure if you heard me say that, but it was very nice.
Yes, Mr. President, we heard that, and we do love our Jeremy Hansen. We love all our Canadian astronauts, Jenny Gibbons, Josh Kutrick. They're just great people, and they're such a welcome addition to our Corps.
Right. Well, I really look for that, a 9-second delay, but
they're just great people, and they're such a welcome addition to our Corps.
Right. Well, I really look forward to, when we can, I want to look forward to...
Perfect person. I was like central casting. Central casting. You can't cast them. What do you have? You don't have anybody in Hollywood that looks like these guys. These are central casting. If I'm doing a movie, I pick you, General Mattis. Vice President Pence, he's a real talent, a real guy, and he is central casting. Do we agree? Central casting. Our NRCC chair, Tom Emmer, this guy's like central casting. You couldn't pick a better guy in Hollywood. There's no actor. And he's central casting. Look at that guy, central casting. Judge Kavanaugh, who's central casting. Everyone is central casting. Central casting. Glasses, head, boom. He owns a hotel. Where is he? He's like central casting for ownership of a hotel. You talk central casting, these guys, you couldn't, I mean, it's incredible. They had a master sergeant there. I could take him right now, bring him to Hollywood, make a military movie, and he's the star of the movie. That happened once before.
I've said many times, Donald Trump is an actor or a filmmaker, or he's setting this up just like a show. And I know this because you look at his past and it's all written out. From his teenage years to his middle-aged years. He's even mentioned it many times in interviews. He would love to be a movie director. He would love to write movies. He would love to write, and he would love to be a director. So, when he finally got into position to be able to be the prime director, he's taken off and he's doing bullshit. He's just he's a front man. Donald Trump is a front man for a bigger, darker, more nefarious system. And I think Donald Trump is going to have a rude awakening.
The ice and snow with the midnight sun and the hot spring glow. Now we're on the cross. Drive our ships to land. Find a home. Sing and cry. For how long I am gone. Oh, I sleep on the I wanna go back to Mexico. Jump from the land of the ice and snow with the midnight sun and the hot spring glow. Such a thing so great. How we go, the tide of war, we are just overload. Always with us, reaching out. I wanna know what makes the best town. So now I gotta stop. I've been there all your programs. It's not just over the days. Fight all your
Whoa. So all throughout here, we've seen a whole bunch of things, a whole bunch of clips, right? Let's see if we can pause on some of these. New Schwabenland, which is what I was talking about yesterday with Klaus Schwab. Schwabenland, that's from him. That's his grandpa. Owned that. Was a leader there. German UFO footage, which is what I talked about with Operation Paperclip or Operation High Jump. They went down into Antarctica. There's a lot of maps, and you know what's interesting is that when I was like playing Halo and Gears of War, it almost seemed like they were showing maps of these places. In our shows, they have a lot of references. Stargate, Stargate has like Space Force and the military references. Star Trek, same thing. Stargate Atlantis is a very, very powerful show. It'll go into how the occult and the esoteric and the political elite are operating, which is just very fascinating because not a lot of shows go into the esoteric and spiritual and political aspects of life all combined. So we're going to go down. Former CIA officer John Ramirez, we are all aliens. There's an alien-human hybrid breeding program. This week, Lou Elizondo, Tim Burchett, and Matt Gaetz all talked about the hybrid breeding program. There are humans among us that might be more extraterrestrial than human, and we are all aliens in some respect. But some of us have an enhancement of that alien DNA. He also drops that the Cherokee Nation links directly to Atlantis survivors and that extraterrestrials see us as their children who are failing as stewards of the planet. You guys got to listen to this. This is insane. So there's a lot of truth in this. John Ramirez, you can find him talking in a lot of places. And he speaks a lot of truth. He speaks a lot of truth. It doesn't matter where they come from and their job, you know, if what happened in their past. Like, that's the crazy thing. If someone had a job like 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago and they're out of it, don't hold them to it still. You know, don't just dismiss them. You gotta listen to it and figure it out for yourself.
More profound was that CIA was interested in certain humans that may have had an enhancement of this alien DNA. That is to say that basically we're all aliens in some respect. But some of us, some humans, have an enhancement of that alien DNA. And that was the first time I ever heard that. To me, that was the most shocking thing I ever heard of. I didn't know that.
Why were they so interested in the DNA of extraterrestrials and the DNA of humans that may contain extraterrestrials for maybe enhancements? I don't know.
There's a cognizance, I believe, within the intelligence community, particularly CIA, that there are humans among us that might be more extraterrestrial than human. And how do you identify them? That could be a major factor in why they were interested in that. And there's also the, I guess you would call contact tracing of like who's who.
Right.
And so what they did reveal that there was an interest in certain families.
How would you understand families?
I understand families to mean bloodlines.
Right.
That they were interested in certain bloodlines going back to
ancient times.
Who knows, ancient times.
Did they mention other heritages around the planet that through this marker?
I was specifically told that the Cherokee heritage, the Cherokee Nation, had something to do with the phenomenon. And furthermore, that it has something to do with perhaps even the actual existence of Atlantis, that they may have been survivors of Atlantis. But then I can't prove that. I can't divulge a source. I was told by a very credible source.
And what was their take on Atlantis, since we're speaking about it?
I believe that their take is it's an actual, and it's not myth and legend, it's an actual place.
Do they know where it's at?
No.
No.
I don't know where it's at, and they didn't tell me where it's at.
But what would give them that idea that the Cherokee heritage is connected to the Atlantean time, unless they had some sort of DNA to compare it to from Atlantis?
I think because that there's a preponderance of people in the intelligence community and in the military community, especially special operators, who've had these experiences. And when they examine these people and start questioning them about their background, about their family heritages, that it was a preponderance of Cherokee heritage associated with not only having these experiences, but with having implants.
So the suggestion of implants means it's possibly currently ongoing.
Yes, it is, because implants have been recovered from people, not just those who are in the military or intelligence community, but from others.
Well, being in this meeting, John, and listening to the biology and all the tech being, presented to you, and you going through this experience already, your whole life of, these different experiences with ET intelligence, what was going through your mind? What was your emotion?
My feeling was that this was why I had those experiences to begin with, that perhaps I was taken. And I never used the word abducted because I wanted to be taken. I was only disappointed when they brought me back. But perhaps this is why I was taken, that I may have had this lineage in my own family history. What is that purpose? And I didn't know for many, many years. In fact, it wasn't until 2020 that I knew what I was supposed to do.
And what is that?
And that is to do exactly what I'm doing now with you.
Gotcha.
Is to share my story and to share my experiences with others who may have had similar experiences. And so on July of 2020 was my birthday. There was a CE6 global session, and it was called Harmonic Convergence 2020. My wife and I participated in this global CE6 session, and I just looked up and didn't see anything for a while. And all of a sudden, I saw this bright orb. It was a white, bright orb right in front of me. over the mountains. And we're only like 2.5 to 3 miles away from the mountains. So it's above those mountains. My wife saw something simultaneously, but she says, it's over to my right. I said, no, it's right ahead. She was sitting on my right. She should have seen it on her left, but she saw it all the way to her right. And so I looked up, and then the message came to me. And the message was, there are things that you've learned, and it's time for you to share what you know. And that was in reference to their existence, the reality of their existence, and what I learned through my work at CIA. It's time for you to share.
And sharing meaning all the stuff that you've worked with the CIA, or the exposure to, the beings and these visions?
The work was what exposure I had to the reality that there are craft, they're real, and there are beings in these craft. They're here for a purpose, for a reason. And that reason is not so much to warn us of impending doom or anything like that, but to remind us that we're stewards of this planet and that we're doing a terrible job of that.
Do you believe we inherited the planet, or do you believe there was extraterrestrials here way before us that started this?
Well, to answer your question, I believe we are also extraterrestrials. I think we were brought here and that we forgot our origins, and that some of the beings that are being encountered by humans today have been here a long, long time. And they may have had some input into how we developed, and that they have our best interests in mind, but they're concerned about the stewardship of the planet, that we are doing a terrible job of taking care of their planet and our planet, and that when we explode nuclear weapons in our atmosphere like we did decades ago, and not only affected us, it affected them as well. And so that's why they're so interested in us, especially after what we call the nuclear age dawned upon us, that we now have the means to destroy ourselves.
Right.
And by destroying ourselves, we're also destroying them. I think we're their children, and that they have, like a concerned parent, they want us to grow up, but they're giving us enough leeway to become cosmic adults, if you will. And that once we become cosmic adults, we can then join them in the full knowledge of our true origins and why we're here and what our purpose is. And perhaps we can then join them in becoming a spacefaring planet with them.
John Ramirez does not pull any punches with that. There's definitely human alien hybrid programs, and there's humans that have alien ancestry, and I think that this is far more magical than what we know from the mainstream. For the longest time, it seemed like science wanted to say, well, we are the only ones living. We have to go look for extraterrestrials. Are they even out there? What are they? Is it real? You guys just believe in aliens, kooky, fake fairy tales. So the government's tried to make people like not believe in this. And my conclusion or my speculation on why the government would want to hide the fact of aliens, angels, extraterrestrials, and spirits and things is because they are one of them, but they're on the dark side, a demon or something alike, where they want to hide that fact by completely hiding all references of anything extra dimensional and extraterrestrial. Sorry. I tried combining both words. Don't know why. But it seems like all throughout history, cultures around the world, ancient past, they all mention these different types of beings, and it's pretty true. There's not a lot of separation to the images and the visuals and the what's being seen from like now to a different continent. So how is the same thing being seen from two people on different continents? Well, there's definitely more to it. It's not just uh, it's not just by coincidence. These craft are out there. These things are out there, and I think that there's a lot of helpers. I kind of think that that's one of the reasons too. They don't want people to know is because the elite that's currently shutting everything down that they can would want to try to shut help down and any type of helpers and UFOs. Maybe that's why the Roswell craft got shut down and blown down. Maybe not though. That's just a theory. We're gonna go down. 18 murders we're hearing voices. Targeted Justice claims all of these were orchestrated by the CIA under the continuing MK Ultra program. And so on
More
my
profound was
Twitter,
that CIA was interested.
sorry, on my Twitter there is this repost. So you go to 509 Divine Pines podcast. I'm not going to read every name and date and place, but there's a lot of them, and I'm sure that's not the only one. And well, actually, I mean, I'm sure those aren't the only ones. And yeah, sure enough, also the man who had stabbed Iriana Zarutska, the influencer or that blonde lady. Well, he was saying the same thing. He was having voices. Interesting. These technologies have the ability to control people. Next up, Dr. Michael P. Masters on the human hybrid breeding program.
Almost every male that was taken would have sperm extracted.
What's going on? Are we in some sort of bizarre intertemporal breeding program or something?
I mean, you're right. That is one of the most common themes. It's ubiquitous across these abduction cases. And seemingly mostly throughout the 70s, 80s, 90s. You don't really hear about it as much anymore, but almost every male that was taken would have sperm extracted. Females have developing fetuses implanted, taken out, eggs being taken. You see these patterns emerge and you have to ask why. And then we see a 60% reduction in sperm counts in males in only the last 40 years. There's all of these things that are happening that could contribute to problems with genetics in the future. I think that's what they specifically told Jim Peniston. They said, we're you. We come from 8,000 years in the future. And yeah, that they're having problems with reproduction and they're taking almost every male that was
Check this out. This is why Donald Trump got this man taken out of, or this is why Colorado took Donald Trump out of the ballots. So this politician was trying to expose the human hunting parties, and Donald Trump wasn't having it. And so this man just straight up removed him off the ballots.
And usually they have holding grounds, like a tunnel system or something underground where they hold the kids in cages until the time of the hunt. And the hunt usually happens later, once it's dark outside, And so what they'll do is they kind of like if like they'll kind of make a parameter which is pretty large of these woods, and they'll station the different elite people around the perimeter. And then when they give the go, you know, they release the kids, and the kids are told just to run, to hide. And that's when the elite will go through the woods and start hunting for them. When they catch them, a lot of times they will first sexually abuse them, and then they'll kill them. So not everybody will get killed in that situation. If they don't, then they're used for other hunts. But you know, there were kids that I saw who, you know, were really good survivors, and they would just continuously have to relive this trauma, you know. So there was kind of like, so those were the kids on the outside, and then because we were hierarchy kids, we were on the inside. And so on the inside, usually in the house or the lodge, you would have the older men who were too old. Sometimes it did include women, but they were too old to be out in the woods hunting for the kids. So they brought everything indoors for those individuals. And those individuals were not allowed to kill, but they were allowed to capture and rape the hierarchy children. So, you know, once the signal was given that the hunt was on, you know, you were just trying to escape, hide, and not be found. And sometimes they would make it seem, you know, for the kids like it was a hide and seek game. You know, so unless you got caught, you really didn't know what happened.
Very consistent. Man, this has been going on for a long time, not just recent. This is, I would say, hundreds of years old. But it's getting even more troubling now. It's becoming technological. So there's still the mystery of the pelacaras down in South America. And here's, I believe, Timothy Alberino.
And she sees this guy, this person, this thing coming up the hill, almost as if he's surfing on one of these circular platforms. And he comes up the hill and he lands next to her and then immediately grabs her. He seizes her from behind and he places his hand over her mouth. So he's got her from behind and he's got his hand over her mouth so she can't scream. Then she sees another one of these guys coming on another platform up the hill and lands and positions himself in front of her and grabs her leg. So they were dressed head to foot in black body armor. They were very tall. One of them, which she calls the gringo, was taller than me, considerably taller than me. The other, I think she said, was about my height, if I recall. That one I dubbed the Peruvian. The reason why is because according to Talia, these individuals spoke Spanish. The taller one, she says, spoke Spanish like me, like a gringo with an accent. The Peruvian put some powder in his hand, and then he put some cream. He had this little bottle with cream in it, and he mixed the powder and the cream together. Then he took a nasal syringe, he sucked up the substance and shot it up her nose. The gringo proceeds to smear this cream all over her face. And she said that her face instantly went numb when the cream was applied, and it began to swell. And she even tells us that at that point she heard the Peruvian guy say, be careful, don't apply too much. You're going to ruin the flesh. One of them took out a small device that you and I think is a laser scalpel, and they began to make an incision in her neck. In other words, they were very likely going to peel her face off.
We did see the two scars. We saw them. Actually, it was Cisla, the father, showed us the picture.
Man, it doesn't make sense unless you understand that this is a battle. Like there's real shit going on. You know, it's not just some. Oh, this is some accident. It's just it's just an animal scratching her. No, like this is much.
Suspect that they were smuggling narcotics. Suspect that they were smuggling narcotics or drugs. Come to find out, it's more disturbing than that. This gentleman has firsthand account with this and says that it was for people. It's very disheartening, especially because that part of the world have already gotten ravaged, and it's something that is very hard to see right now because of what I've witnessed, and it's very disheartening. And this is why I'm up here. They were actually, two of the guys were actually talking about either, hey, should we smoke these guys right now? You know, that's what they kept saying. It was kind of feeding more into the fear at that point because, again, I don't know who these guys are. I know they had American gear. They had American sidearms as well. If these guys have actually taken an oath like we have, and then why they're going against people like us and even willing to kill servicemen who just even stumbled onto this, it just blows my mind, and it's very sick. Suspect that they were smuggling narcotics or drugs. Come to find out, it's more disturbing than that. This gentleman has firsthand account.
So let's just say, like, I don't know, for instance, that the Green Goblin movie is showing some crazy human technology where they're like flying on a hoverboard. They got these masks. They got lasers by now. It almost seems like the military has technology to make this happen, but I'm not saying it's them. It's just it's a very strange coincidence with what's happening. I asked the woman to explain Pela Cara for me, and she explained how there has been human organ trafficking in the area and bodies found without organs. The culprits are American gringos like you. The people were scared to hear of your arrival. I didn't really know what to make of this. There are many people here that want to tell me long stories. What happened next made things very clear. The object closed the focus. Moises, even though he was not present on the day of the day the object came down, says the size of the object when it was 10 feet above the ground was enough to accommodate 3 people inside, and then it generated wind. Moises said that there were reports that in a similar sighting of Ashaninka village of the Peruvian territory at the beginning of the year, when it reached 1 meter high on the ground, a door opened in the object and people came out of it to kill. He also said that a Peruvian Ashanikas even shot at those people who would have come out of the object, one of them being hit and shouted until he was rescued by another of the people who had come inside the object. After that, the object gone away. Also, according to Moises, the people from inside the object dressed in green so they could easily hide in the vegetation. And you know, this is insane to think about it and read it. So there's been a lot of UFO documentaries and books about experiencers and police reports and hospital reports of strange markings on people, hospital x-rays of strange objects in people. But there's also stories from in the police reports that people detail and the hospital reports is that some of these people who see UFOs or experience UFOs or get abducted, or let's just say they go into the UFO and they recall seeing tall aliens and military men from different countries running operations, and they see things. It's like cloning centers, organ labs, all sorts of things. And there's some speculation onto why they're doing this, but regardless, there's dozens, if not hundreds, probably thousands of different stories showing and talking about these extraterrestrial encounters having to deal with the military, and military secretly shows up. They know exactly what's happening. The military tells them, that it's one of theirs and different things, right? Like there's a lot of aspect to us having connection, and you look at that Greada Treaty, or you hear about it. Most people hear about it. Like, I guess no one ever sees it. But that's like an alien contract, right? So if that was made 50 years ago, then now we're in the 70 year of advancement, right? Very strange. And we're gonna keep on going. Here's Mike Tyson talking about this.
States of property that's hunt.
Who paid someone to hunt a person.
Let them go.
That's not outside the
I
realm
know
of
that.
possibility.
I know, that's why I'm throwing it at you.
I guarantee you there's been someone somewhere in the world who paid someone to hunt a person. I guarantee you that's
Listen,
happened.
no, this is what happened. They take these homeless people off the streets, put them in there, take them to one of these special hospitals. They take them from that hospital, may have them drugged up, take them on these large estates of property. That's hunt. Run.
Christ.
Nigga, run. No, really, I really
That's
believe,
been in.
I really believe that.
I think. Well,
But
that
Mike
book, the
Tyson, bro, he got very detailed, man. He got very detailed. He got real detailed, and just to talk about the homeless, trip out. So this was just like from last week. 8 dead bodies found within the same block in about 4 weeks. So in 1 month, 8 bodies in the same block around the St. Monica Catholic Church. I don't know, man. That sounds like murder. That sounds like there's something going on, man. There is always some controversy going on. And here's a DOJ indictment of Brenda Brown, who faces 5 years in federal prison for her election crimes caught on hidden cameras, where she was caught bribing homeless with cash and assistance for their vote.
Sends cash money to the homeless person, not only for signing the California ballot initiative, but also as payment for them to register to vote.
Now, because you haven't registered, I need to register you so I can get paid too. I'm paying you guys, I need to get paid. Come on.
That is a federal felony. And it didn't just happen once, it happened over and over and over again. We personally witnessed and covertly filmed this happening at least 28 times over the span of our investigation, and that is just in Los Angeles.
Yes, James O'Keefe is the source of that video.
Alexandria Hoff joins us now from the White House with more. Alex.
Well, good morning to you. The woman in this California case, she had worked for 2 decades as a signature collector, according to the Department of Justice, in order for these signatures to work on the ballot petitions, different kind of political signature requirements. These people had to be registered to vote. But, that is not often the case down on Skid Row, and that is where 64-year-old Brenda Armstrong would go down to. She was also known as Annika. Federal prosecutors saying she would go down to Skid Row, find homeless people, get them registered to vote. About $2 to $3 a pop is what she would pay them, so then they could sign her petition.
Looks like a dirty
Sometimes
mop.
even suggesting her former homes and addresses
the
to
base.
claim as their own.
Dirty as
Assistant
shit.
Attorney General Harmeet Dillon writes false registrations undermine America's faith in
my
elections,
God.
even more so when payoffs are involved. The
So,
Department of Justice is
what's
committed to
trippy is
ensuring
that
that all U.S. elections are fair and
some of
free from
these,
illegal
people who
meddling,
were
so
caught-
that Americans can accept the results
Well,
with
it's just
confidence.
one woman now, but
And
she had
Acting Attorney
helpers,
General
right?
Todd Blanche says such crackdown.
This woman was telling these homeless to go to her house, or she was giving them her address And so I bet you, let's just say if some of them gone missing, you can definitely bet on what happened. Those human hunting parties are no joke. This is a trip. A man in a Pink Panther costume tried to abduct multiple children from a school bus stop in broad daylight.
One of the children snapped this photo of the person in the costume. The concerned
There he
mother,
is
who asked
walking. They don't
not
have
to be
the video
identified,
of
says
him.
this happened Thursday after school. Her 2 kids and several classmates had just gotten off the school bus when they spotted the person near the bus stop. She says the kids tried.
Definitely strange world right now. Hey, at least Thomas Massey is standing up for what's right before he dropped out. And he said he's going to go for
That is
presidency
wrong.
instead.
Do not let the Senate muck this bill up. And if you're a party to that in the Senate, you are part of this cover-up that we are trying to expose. I am sorry if one of your billionaire donors is going to get embarrassed because he went to Rape Island. That is what they have coming. In fact, they need to be on the other side of bars, a lot of them. Some of them will be embarrassed, but some of them need to go to prison, and the survivors know that. So how will we know if this bill has been successful? We will know when there are men, rich men in handcuffs being perp walked to the jail. And until then, this is still a cover-up. Decades.
Kanye West talking about, how do y'all think she got rich? So, Kim K, I mentioned it yesterday, she got caught with like $8 million or so in cocaine in her shipment, in her Skims underwear shipment. Very interesting. This is stupid. Trip out.
Against men playing in women's sports. He voted against
Hear that?
men playing in women's sports. Yeah, Thomas Massey's a terrible congressman. He voted against men playing in women's sports.
He voted against men playing in women's sports, makes him a terrible person. Fuck you, Trump.
He voted against transgender for everybody. The mutilization.
He voted against transgender for everybody. Yeah, that's good. So fuck you, Trump.
Of your children. He voted against, again, open borders. We have the best border we've ever had right now.
Voted against open borders.
Now nobody's coming.
Like this whole border situation. I'm not for either side of how they're proposing it. So pretty much fuck them all on that one.
I mean, a report just came out. In the last 11 months, literally nobody has been allowed into our country illegally.
Check this out.
War in the party has gotten so out of hand. They sent the Secretary of War to my district today to campaign against me. I don't think that's ever been done. To send
it's also illegal.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure, but it's insane. Like, we're in the middle of a war. Why should the Secretary of War come to Kentucky? I say it's because I'm harder to beat than Iran, and I don't even have a nuclear weapon. That's because the weapon I have are the people behind me. We talked about money raised, and I took objection with the fact that he was raising money. He's the warm body. Literally, the president calls him a warm body from central casting. That much I agree with on the president, who was just recruited. The money was already there for him. What's shocked me and surprised me is we've raised like $7 million, $50 at a time from tens of thousands of donors. I never expected this to galvanize
America first.
So Massey dropped out of the Kentucky race. Oh, where's this at? Do I still have this from him? Where is it? Oh, damn! I didn't save the clip. So there's a clip of Massey talking about, well, I just had to make sure to go find my enemy before I called them to let them know I was dropping out of the race. Pretty much saying he was forced to call Israel and Tel Aviv and one of the political donors that, hey man, like, all right, I'm backing out of this race. Pretty much his enemy, because he's trying to say that, I think they forced his hand, and or in order, as far as like what Trump did. Trump pushed Hegseth and all these others. They're starting to embarrass him. Not that they're paying Massey. Massey's being paid by the Islamic people, which is pretty insane, but whatever. So Massey's just seeing that the cards are stacked against him. He's like, you know what? I'll just hold my hand, or fold or hold whatever. Hold my hand and play cards here soon. He's gonna go for the presidential election, so I think he's thinking bigger. Check this out. Oh, this is a 30-minute documentary. I'm gonna have to replay this.
Eclectic medicines.
That's for tomorrow. This is trippy as shit. So a journalist who spent months working hard to infiltrate as a cult member, the cult leader comes and gives a lecture laughing about how he killed 4 people, and that there's this suspicion in the village that's supposed to have water that revives people. 13 years ago, they killed someone and kept the body preserved to bring him back with a heroic accident.
여기는 뭐 하는 것만 보세요. 아니 물이에요, 그냥. 아, 물 안에 있어요. 그런 거 뭐예요? 네, 여기서만 보고 있습니다.
찾았습니다. 그 물, 죽은 이에게 뿌리면 시체도 살아 돌아온다 하여 신도들을 집단 관계로 끌고 간 원흉이죠. 아직도 이곳에 있다는 이 여기 안에 물 있어요? 네. 이제 난.
Okay, I can't understand any of it. I wish I did. Sorry, I don't speak that language. I do speak this language though. Here's predictive maps and what the agenda is for our nation.
The Hopi prophecy is based on an oral record that spans thousands of years. It speaks of cyclical cataclysms and says that one is coming in our near future, and that it will be the transition between the end of the 4th world and the beginning of the 5th. Several ancient texts have documented cyclical cataclysms. The Bible begins with the replenishing of the earth, which many biblical scholars interpret as a restoration after a previous destruction, and it ends with destruction. During the 16th century, Nostradamus wrote of the earth trembling so violently that great structures would be destroyed. Edgar Cayce, America's sleeping prophet, documented over 14,000 psychic readings that have been stunningly accurate. He had visions that simultaneous eruptions of Mount Pelée in Martinique and Mount Etna in Sicily would occur approximately 90 days before the West Coast is flooded. Gordon Michael Scallion was an electronics consultant with no background in mysticism when, in 1979, he suddenly lost his voice and began experiencing visions of future Earth changes. He published maps that show America's coastlines underwater, the country cut in half from the Great Lakes to the Gulf of Mexico, and Denver, Colorado as a future seaport. After years working as an electrical engineer for the U.S. aerospace industry, Aaron Abramson began focusing on psychic research. He predicted dramatic Earth changes and created a future map of the United States that showed the same coastal inundation. The alleged classified map of the U.S. Navy, which has been circulating for decades, shows U.S. coastal inundation patterns nearly identical to these visionary maps. Stan Deyo received a congressional appointment to the U.S. Air Force Academy at Colorado Springs. His advanced propulsion research took him to Australia in 1971 to work under the direction of America's Dr. Edward Teller and the Soviet Union's Dr. Andrei Sakharov. Stan Deyo had above top secret security clearance and predicted that sunspot activity, tectonic upheaval, and volcanic activity would result in coastal inundation of the United States. One specific element of Deo's predictions, a mega tsunami triggered by volcanic collapse in the Canary Islands, has been independently modeled and published by geologists at University College London. Deo has spent years consulting with Hopi elders and found their prophecy to be consistent with his scientific research and developed maps that reflect what we have already discussed. FEMA's National Flood Insurance Program maps show the same results. All these maps show Denver, Colorado, which sits 5,280 feet above sea level and hundreds of miles from the nearest ocean coastline, among the most secure and stable positions in the continental United States. Perhaps this explains the mysteries of the Denver International Airport. At 35,000 acres, DIA's footprint is twice as large as the next largest U.S. airport. It was built 30 kilometers farther from the city than the airport it replaced and has fewer runways. DIA was $2 billion over budget. There are as many as 6 underground levels below the ground floor, and possibly more that are not publicly known. Construction workers handling different sections of the project reported complex underground tunnels and buried buildings. Construction companies were changed repeatedly throughout the build, and teams were fired once they completed their section, ensuring that no single group had a complete picture of the overall blueprint. The murals by Leo Tanguma, who confirmed he was given guidelines for the imagery, show a sequence of events: environmental destruction, burning cities, children dead and dying, and a new unified world emerging. The Masonic capstone reads, New World Airport Commission, an organization with no verifiable ongoing existence and no public record outside this stone and the airport's opening ceremonies. Perhaps it is merely coincidence, but an expected cataclysmic event like this would explain every bizarre action of the U.S. government for the past decade. Greg Reese reporting.
Subscribers.
So, what I believe this New World Airport Commission is, it has to deal with New Schwabenland and Antarctica. I believe that there's a second worldwide government, or a worldwide government that's being hidden. See, like, we got the United Nations and Davos and all of that. Those are like the political groups, right? You know, and nations gather in there, and it doesn't really have, they don't have like actual full 100% control legality of over each other, right? It's more like just a gathering. But I believe this New World Order Commission, or whatever it is part of this secret government that was found and operated down around World War II by the Nazis and the rest of the countries that went down to meet them. There was a lot of countries that first signed that original treaty. I think like 50 some, 60, 70 countries first signed that original treaty to do research together down in Antarctica. Yeah, I guess. Kim Kardashian and Kanye West were seen in a car today after Kim K got busted for $8.4 million worth of cocaine. So, sources say she was crying while opening up to Kanye that she was innocent of the crime and was set up by the driver. This was after Lewis Hamilton broke up with her following the whole incident. Yeah, Kim doesn't really look good. She looks like she's been mad and sad. That looks like old Kim before all the makeup. Next up, Florida just busted an international child pornography ring with with over 1 million videos involved, including babies. Fuck, horrible. I don't want to play. I do. The audio. I don't know. Kind of, it's gonna make me sick. You guys can go watch the video and interview alone yourself. I'm not gonna play this. A, I don't want to get me flagged, and two, I don't want it to like make me sick to my stomach because yeah, that shit's man, that shit's not cool. I just saw it was Idaho or one of these states. I think it was Idaho. They just brought the death penalty by firing squad to anybody who's sexually abusing children. Good. Trip out on this. This is Victor Marks. When he realized that Charlie Kirk is dead, he texts Erica Kirk. No one is going to kill you. You're safe. You and the kids. They just wanted Charlie. Whoa. Okay. So
contacted
admitting.
Erica through a text and told her. I just told her, nobody's gonna kill you. You're safe. You and the kids. No one's coming after you. They just wanted Charlie. And I was just trying to reassure her because I contacted Erica through a text and told her.
Yeah, Candace got the same face I do. Like, why the fuck you texting Erica after he dies? And then the second face she makes is, why the fuck you saying they're not gonna kill you? It was they were only after him. Like he knows because he's in on it. These guys are in on their own friend's death. Fucking sad. This is crazy right here. Man rumored to be male prostitute found dead in Indiana home of Mike Pence. Law enforcement reportedly responded to the Indiana home of disgraced former Vice President Mike Pence this afternoon after a 911 call was placed to summon help for an unconscious man who was not breathing. Upon arrival, police and paramedics discovered that the man was deceased in a room at the Pence home and identified the individual as a male in his early 20s, but did not reveal the man's name to the public. No cause of the death has been named either, but the former vice president and his wife Karen were allegedly home at the time of this incident. Rumors are beginning to circulate that the young man was a male prostitute that was hired by Pence and was known by one of the responding officers as a frequent special guest at the Pence household. But as of right now, details are sketchy and no official word on who this man is or was, and the manner of his death is known. So they don't know his death. They just worded this shit funny. An active police investigation is said to be underway. Stay tuned for updates on this mysterious bombshell. Yeah, it is pretty trippy. Pretty trippy. Mike Pence. I've heard some things about him. People have tried exposing Mike Pence. And I think that's probably the last male prostitute he's ever going to hire. Yo, I hope you guys have a great night, man. Please like, subscribe, and share. Go ahead down below. There are coupons, affiliates, and all sorts of goodies for you guys to check out. You can save some money too. Just type in the coupon code and maybe like 1 to 5% of that money will ever come back to me through this through these companies. Like they send me products, so I ask some of these companies to send me products instead of cash. So I mean, yeah, I wish though that I could go ahead and get a better monetization progress with just the whole YouTube thing, or run certified ads. So I think that's going to be my next goal. Better ads. You guys have a great night. Be blessed. Be high. See you guys next time on the 509 Divine Pies podcast. Peace. I love y'all.